Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, viewers. I am yet again with another episode of How to Unhook Your Past and Win Life Like a Warrior. As I have been mentioning that winning life like a warrior doesn't mean that every time you have to go to battlefield and fight. What I mean to say is that winning life is to fight the demons within you, and the demons are your own limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging traits, negative thoughts, and many more such issues which you have to fight it. And the very small framework for this, which I call it a warrior, the word warrior, which got 7 letters. So the W means you should have a winning mindset. The A is for you should have an attitude of gratitude. And the next letter R is remove the clutter from your mind. That clutter could be a physical clutter, mental clutter, or it could be your psychological clutter or digital clutter even nowadays. And then another R is reinvent yourself. After having done all these 3 stages, you reinvent yourself. And then you come to a situation where you can inspire the others and you get inspiration from others. That O is always overcome your procrastination. Why we lose the thing? Because we keep procrastinating things and then we start losing in the life. And then finally, the R is you should reap the rewards, whatever time you have invested. So it's a return on time invested. So that is the word warrior. In this series, ladies and gentlemen, I am with one of the very special warrior with me. He's a warrior in the true sense, Major General Vikram Dev Dogra, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal. And ladies and gentlemen, he is not only exceptionally done well in the defense, in the army, but out of the uniform as well, he has been doing such a wonderfully, he is a twice Ironman. An Ironman is the one who wins that race of triathlon, where you swim, you cycle, and you run for all put together around 224 kilometers. So that is what the Ironman is. And ladies and gentlemen, before I get into more details, let me welcome you on behalf of you all and myself, General Dogra sir. Sir, I am privileged to have you on my show today, Win Life Like a Warrior. You are most welcome, sir.
Thank you, Raghav. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to talking with you. It sounds very interesting.
Yeah. So, sir, to start with, I have done a little bit of research on you, sir, that you have been basically from a family of soldiers. Your grandfather was in police, your father was also an army man, and finally you are also an army officer. So would you like to tell us a little bit about your initial days and your childhood days, sir?
So, like you said, I grew up in an army family. My father joined the army way back in 1945. And his father was in the police, and he was in Lahore. He used to be the SP of Lahore in 1930s.
Wonderful.
So I grew up seeing my father in uniform, and I also have 4 sisters, 3 of whom got married to army officers. 2 of them are much older than me. So when I was just I think in class 5 or 6, they got married. And I used to see their husbands in uniform. I used to see my father in uniform. The environment I grew up in, we used to stay in Delhi in a place called Princess Park, which has now been converted into an army museum.
Okay.
That was a place where all defense services officers used to stay. So that's where I grew up. And that's how I was influenced to join the army from probably the age of 4.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a really awesome, sir. Means you had all around means your sister's husband plus your father. So this father, sir, which arms he was in?
My father was from the ordnance.
Ordnance.
Yeah.
Okay. And he retired as sir?
He retired as a colonel.
Okay.
In 1973.
Okay.
Yeah.
My God, very senior officer, sir. Very senior officer. And the grandfather, you said he was in Lahore. He was in Lahore as a SP. And
he was the SP in Lahore. Yeah, he got a Rai Bahadur out there in Lahore.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. That's very, very, I think, proud, sir, moment for you, in fact. Then, sir, I believe that after that, your education, you started, though you said that from the fourth class itself, you wanted to join army because of the environment at home. And then you studied in Delhi, and then finally you were sent to Dehradun in St. Joseph Academy, sir, if I'm not wrong.
No. I studied in Delhi in St. Xavier's.
Yeah.
And when my father got posted from here, the hostel in St. Xavier's has shut.
Okay.
And because it had shut, I had to move. And I passed out then from St. George's College in Mussoorie.
Yes.
Not Dehradun.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this, when you call it a college, it was till 12th, sir? Only?
Yeah. It's a school, but
Yeah.
it's called a college. That's the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So,
when I passed out from there, the 12th had just started, but I
okay.
did only 11th because
Okay.
NDA used to take students after 11th that time.
Yeah, in your time it was 11th only. In fact, by the time we were ready, I'm talking of somewhere 86 or 85, it became 12th. By then it became 12th. So at that time, didn't you, sir, or your parent didn't thought of putting you sometime somewhere in the RIMC or the military schools like that? Because
No.
okay,
That's
okay,
it. Yeah.
okay. Then I believe you joined, sir, NDA after 11th. So how was the life there, sir? And anything
So,
which...
NDA, like it is for every other child who joins there with no previous experience of military training,
Sir.
I was at sea.
Sir.
For me, it was like coming to a totally different place where there were so many people who were senior to me. Everybody wanted to make you do things which they felt you should be doing, whether they were the right things or the wrong things.
Correct.
So you were coping not only with a new routine,
Sir.
which was dominated by a lot of physical fitness. You
Sir.
started with PT and then drill and all the other fitness activity, and your studies and the seniors who were breathing down your neck. So this was the experience, and it took me almost about 2 terms to understand where I was and what the hell I was doing out there. And you'd be surprised, I was declared weak in PT. And
Oh,
in my second term, during the afternoon, when there was a little bit of break after lunch and before your games, I used to be put through extra PT classes. And
yes.
that's when I actually picked up a lot of physical fitness because of these extra classes, and I passed my higher tests in
Okay.
PT also.
Okay.
But it was a very interesting time. I did very well. I was the Academy Cadet Adjutant, the ACA in NDA. And
Okay.
yeah, and I passed out like best in outdoors, best in officer-like qualities, best in marching, uh,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. Yeah, so it was a
Fantastic,
very
sir.
good, interesting time.
Naturally, sir. So, in fact, this proves a point, sir, which we keep hearing in the academy or from the DSS when you new gentleman cadet joins, whether in the NDA or IMA, that unless you are subjected to the thing, your body is subjected. You don't know your own potential.
True.
And that is what you did it. That once you realize that yes, you were found to be weak, and then you put in your effort, and then you found your potential, true potential rather. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that becoming an ACA in any academy is not a joke. Out of those 500 cadets, 600 cadet of that session, you are the one of the topmost cadet in physical as well as in your academics. Then only you become a ACA. And this is one of the appointment, which are you are like a head boy of a college or a head boy of a school, something like that. So
But
that is the story.
let me correct you out here about myself. What you
Sir.
said is absolutely correct. That
Sir.
you have to be top in your physical fitness and your academics. But in my case, what happened with academics was I started with a very mediocre CGPA of about 4.8.
Okay.
And I was focusing so much on my fitness because I was declared weak that my
Okay.
CGPA started dropping. And by the time I came to my sixth term,
Okay.
I didn't have adequate CGPA to even pass out.
Oh my God.
3 is the minimum, and I was at 2.92. But
Okay.
because I was so good otherwise in the
Okay.
other activity, they made an exception and made me the ACA and let me go through. Yeah.
Okay.
But then I rectified that in the IMA. I understood that,
I
you need
know.
to work on your academics also.
I know. I know. I'll come on that, sir. I'll come on that. But that must be a real exception, sir. That must be a real exception.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it, but I had 2.92 when I passed out, which is
Okay.
less than 3.
Okay. That's really means it's a good to know that that this is the way the thing has happened, and you are so transparent for that. So the journey started, sir. You went to the IMA, and IMA, so sir, you broken all the records. Whatever I think people must have known by now that you were the paramedalist, which shows that how physically fit you could be. Then you were the gold medalist. That showed that academically also you excelled because you realize your flaws of NDAs, and then you worked upon that and you become a wonderful academically as well. And over and above that, you won all other medals, number of other medals. So would you like to share something about the academy?
So, I learned from my fault in NDA.
Yes.
When I joined NDA, like I said, I came from civil schools and there were cadets from army schools, military schools. They knew all about how to go about, training in the NDA. And guys like me had no experience. So I was in the weak cadre.
Category, yeah.
But when I went to IMA, I had learned. So I focused on everything that needed to be focused. And fortunately, like I did well, I was best in shooting. I was best in marching. I was best in physical fitness. That was the paramedal. I was the first in order of merit of those who got commissioned in the Armored Corps. I had got the gold medal for being first in the order of merit overall, and also the Sword of Honor for being the best all-round gentleman cadet. And I
Absolutely.
commanded the parade. So it was a very unique experience for me because not only did all this happen, I also managed to get my dream regiment, which was the Pune Horse. And this was because I was high in merit. There was no vacancy in my regiment.
Okay.
But that time, when you were in the super block and you opted for a regiment, you were given that regiment irrespective of the vacancy.
Oh,
So
okay.
I got Pune Horse, and I also met my wife in IMA when I was a cadet. So
Okay.
it was like, everything was going right in
Dream
IMA.
come true. So, ma'am is from Dehradun, sir?
Her father was the principal of the Army Cadet College, the
Okay.
ACC wing.
Okay.
Yeah, the ACC wing in IMA. So her dad was the principal there. He used to be in NDA for about 30 years as a
Okay.
professor, and then he moved as principal out there along with my batch.
Okay. So, this principal used to be the civilian gentleman, sir, in IMA?
Yeah, I think there's still a civilian principal. I don't know about now, but earlier it used to be a civilian always.
Okay.
Even in NDA, the principal was civilian.
Okay. NDA, of course, but
Same in Army Cadet. Yeah.
okay. I also passed out from there, but I never realized that CCU, a civilian gentleman, is also
Yeah.
there. So that must be some wonderful combination that passing out as a sword of honor and then finding your love life as well and then coming
Yeah,
out
so I
with
had
the
a very interesting third term
sir,
because that's when I met her, and despite all my all the training that you're doing, I
sir.
was also progressing on my love life front, and it worked well.
Okay. That's very rare, sir. That's very rare. Anybody come across? I mean, it must be unique distinction, sir. That you top the academy and with all other medals, and also because people die for getting a girlfriend or this thing in the academy, sir. And here you got a real partner. It's very awesome memories must be for you, sir.
So I must tell you also that how I met her,
Sir.
and it was as an anonymous phone caller.
Okay.
Because as the ACA, I was the ACA again in IMA, and as an ACA, you have a telephone in your room because you have to give a report at night to the.
Yeah. You're right.
So on one Sunday, I was bored, and I knew the principal has got two daughters. I didn't even know their names, and I
Okay.
called up that number, and I
Okay.
asked to speak to Miss Sharma. That was her father's surname,
Okay.
and I didn't know her name, so it was Miss So and So, and the voice on the other side said, "Which one?" I said, "The elder one." And I tried to speak, and she said, no, sorry. And she put it down. And I tried again and said, I'll only speak. We'll never meet. She put it down. So about 15, 20 times it happened. And I was persistent.
Oh.
That's how it started. Yeah.
So the far end of the failure is always success, sir. So the more you change it, and you finally you get it, and
Uh,
never get disheartened by the failures. But you knew her beforehand, sir, or
no, no, not at all.
but you have seen her or something. Then how did you come across?
Yeah, yeah, of course, because they used to go all over the academy. They were riding, and they were,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the library and everywhere. And you knew who's who because
Okay.
there were only a handful of girls in the IMA.
I know, sir. I know. Ladies and gentlemen, what General is telling is something which is very interesting. It's very rare in the academy you come across the ladies or girls. So he found her soulmate, and finally it materialized. And that was in the final term, not otherwise. Okay, otherwise he focused on everything which is relevant for his career.
No,
And
no, I
that's
must correct you. This is also relevant, and I focused on this also and my training. And the
okay.
results show both that both places it worked well.
Excelled, excelled. That is good, sir. That is very good, sir. So, in 1981, you passed out, sir. So, this Pune horse was how that was, sir. It was you have done some already research on that. You wanted to join Pune horse only.
You know, in NDA, I was an infantry opti,
Yes, sir.
and then I was invited for lunch by a
Armored.
family friend,
Okay.
in whose house there was an officer from Pune House, also
Okay.
had come for lunch.
Okay. Okay.
And this officer brainwashed me and told
Okay.
me how it is the most dynamic arm, it is the arm of the future, there is a fighting machine, so much of horsepower, so much of firepower, and all that stuff. And Pune Horse is a regiment which has two Paramveer Chakras. So, because it was such a glorious regiment with two PVCs, there was no other regiment with two PVCs in those days except for First Sikh. So, it was just First Sikh and Pune Horse. Uh, and therefore, I changed my choice in my mind from infantry to armored and within the armored for Pune Horse. And that's how Pune Horse came about.
Sir, as such, that was not a wrong choice. Otherwise, also because everyone I have seen in the academy that everyone look for beginning joining the armored corps. And in armored corps also, the way you have seen that Pune horse was the you have been inspired by someone, and you did a right thing. There was no doubt that normally the toppers always look forward the armored corps, and many become casualty. They don't get it, and but you got that choice also. So finally, you got a good start from the academy, then got a good regiment and good partner. So everything went well, sir. And when you joined the unit, sir, I have gone through the details of yours, sir, that whatever courses you attend, you did extremely well. In fact, to the extent that all courses you were graded alpha, as well as, and out of 8, probably 5 you topped in that. And you did extremely well, and that everything went very well as far as your career is concerned. So would you like to tell about something that which were those 3 courses which you missed out? I am sure that you must have missed with the blinkers only.
So, actually, topping the course is a very relative term
I know.
because you may be alpha and a very high alpha, but there is somebody who's got a few marks more than you. So he tops the course and you don't.
Yeah.
Now, the courses which I topped were my VIOS course, where I
Okay.
got the Silver Centurion,
Okay.
the gunnery course, which is an instructor course. Everybody does one instructor course, so mine was the gunnery course.
Okay.
The staff college course,
Okay.
that. Then the combat team commanders course,
Okay.
and
Okay.
the tank technology course. In
All
that, I
career
got a
courses.
delta. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got a delta grading in the tank technology. It's a 1-year course.
Yeah.
Where I didn't top was the JC. I was number 3.
Okay. Okay.
Senior command, there is no topping anyway because
Yeah.
it's only a high grading. And the higher command, again, there is no grading.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So these were the courses where I did not.
And this tank technology you must have done from this IIT, sir, IIT Pune?
Yeah, IIT Greenagar.
Yeah, yeah. I did my technical staff course from there, sir.
Correct, yeah.
That's why I know that, because tank technology people and you keep attending some of the common classes or some of the common
Absolutely,
episodes.
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why I know that.
And I'm non-techie guy. Okay, I'm a BA from NDA, so it was a big struggle to work on the tank technology with all the scientists trying to teach you. So a lot of hard work had to be put in, and it was just trying to get to understand what is going on.
But sir, because your focus always has been on the tactics and I must say that physical fitness. So that is what best needed in the armed forces, and that is what you achieved that, sir. So there is no denying the fact, sir. But sir, you have done extremely well throughout your career, sir, and with your resolve that I have seen that 3 times you have cycled, even in the J&K, that Ladakh region from Leh to Chandigarh, even Rajouri to, that which place?
Akhnur to Rajouri.
Akhnur to Rajouri, and even on this Arunachal Pradesh from Bumla to Sela Pass.
From Bomdila.
Bomdila to
Over Sela Pass to Tawang, and then Bumla.
Yeah, yeah. And even in the Rajasthan also, from Jodhpur to Jaisalmer.
Yes.
In fact, barring one, sir, that Jodhpur to Jaisalmer, all these 3 places I have physically been there.
Okay.
And I know that, sir, how much of the climbing up or climbing down is there in all 3 places. Because Rajouri, I was in this Jannawali Gali near Sorankot. And Leh, I have been there, sir. I was posted in this Nimu. And being a part of Tezpur 4 Corps, I have seen that route also, Sela and Bomdila. Sir, this thing you already had in mind that one day you will be going for the Ironman competition. That's why you were doing, or it was just a part of your?
No. This is all good fun and games.
Okay.
It was just for enjoyment because, I look for adventure. Yeah. So it was just an adventure thing. It was a private thing with civilian friends. It was nothing to do with the army and nothing to do with Ironman.
Okay. But you just enjoyed doing these activities.
Yeah, it was good fun. Especially, when I did the Leh, Chandigarh, or in fact, I did Rajouri before that. Akhnur Rajouri I did in 2013. And those people had never seen a cycle on that road. Because I was Colonel Q in Rajouri in 2007. So I was quite familiar with that road. But when we cycled in 2013, the people came out and were wondering, how come they're cycling out here? Because firstly, it was a CI environment. The road opening had been done. And then cycles are not used out there. So it was quite interesting that time.
So, sir, with this background, like you commanded, sir, Armored Regiment, then you commanded Armored Brigade. You did command your infantry division. And in fact, you will be surprised, sir, that some of your colleagues or maybe the course mate have commented on my LinkedIn profile after seeing when I posted the flyer. One of the gentlemen, I tell you, sir, he's Major General Rohit Gupta, Sena Medal. He is supposed to be a course mate.
No, he is not my course mate, but we did the tank technology course together and the staff course together.
Okay. So that way he's a course mate, sir. And he has commented, I'm just reading for his words, sir. He has said that he is an Iron Man in true sense with iron resolve. He was the best to go higher in the Indian Army. Now, you did, sir, all these commands wonderfully, everything fascinating. And your whatever comments I got from your maybe course mate or whom people know, they all high praise. But at the end, when you were considered for the next promotion, you somehow could not make it. So, what was that turning point?
Well, I can't comment on why I didn't make it because, there is so many dynamics when you have these boards, the people who are there and stuff like that. So we will leave that part out
Yeah,
because,
of course, I don't want that, sir. I don't want any comment on that because we know all that, sir.
yeah.
But I'm saying that the turning point in the life as such,
So
how
it
did,
was not really a turning point, but it was a very disappointing point
sir,
where probably I was to blame also because I was not prepared for the turning point. Uh, I never even thought that I won't make it.
sir,
So to be prepared for failure is
sir.
very important.
Yes,
And I
yes,
was not prepared. So
yeah,
that was my feeling. And then when it happened, because I was not prepared, I reacted very negatively in the sense you know, started hibernating. I stopped meeting people. I was ashamed
yeah.
that people are laughing at me. What will people be saying? All those kind of thoughts which come to you
Right,
when
right, right.
you
As
face
a
a
human being, as a human being, sir.
setback.
Yeah,
Uh, so now in hindsight, I know I should have prepared for it. That yes, one of the outcomes can be that you are not selected. But that time it didn't happen, and therefore I went into this kind of internal upheaval within myself,
yeah,
where
yeah.
I was blaming myself all the while that what did I do wrong, sitting and brooding and stuff like that, and that actually sucks out all the joy from your life.
Yes,
You
yes.
start feeling very, very down and out, and almost in a form where you start feeling very depressed. So I went through that. I went through that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what I wanted to bring a point that despite everything, anybody in his or her life can go through those low moments of life. And what he rightly said that General has said that he reacted to the situation rather than responding to the situation. He reacted, and the moment we start reacting to the situation, we develop a negative energy, and then it takes you further down. So we should never react, rather we analyze the things and move forward, because the failing is a step forward toward the another life or another success or another opportunity. And let me tell you, what General did is the same thing. Thereafter, sir, if I'm not wrong, you introspect yourself, you did your self-awareness introspection, and finally you realize that, am I General Dogra like this? Then you found your true self and you put your energy in something diversified. That is what we would like to know, sir. Because
Yes,
you came out
this
yourself from this swamp of life,
so this swamp which you call continued for about 7, 8 months,
sir.
and like I said, it really pulls you down. It
Yeah.
it takes all the happiness away,
Yes.
and I kept then trying to come out of it, and I finally realized that I needed to do something to
Yes.
get out of this thing
Yes.
because I started losing my own confidence, in myself. And I was wondering that suddenly, from a guy who had done so well in the academy and this, that, and the other, now I'm here. I'm even unsure of what I'm doing is right.
Yeah.
And I was losing self confidence. So I decided I need to do something which will convince me that
Sir.
I still have the capability to do whatever I set my sights to. And therefore, I started looking around and I came upon this event called the Ironman. And when I saw this format of the Ironman, I said, if I can do this, because when you see the distances of what is to be done in the Ironman, it is so intimidating. It is so huge.
Yeah.
3.8 kilometers of swimming in the ocean, 180 kilometers of cycling, and then 42 kilometers running to be done one after the other
Yes.
within 17 hours. So I thought to myself, if I can do this, then I'll prove to myself that I still have it in me to do whatever I set my sights to. And that's how then I came on to deciding that I'll do Ironman. And I started training, and then I went through with it.
So, it's a very important point you brought out, and this is the real learning for the viewers or for the audience who are there. So, gentlemen, what General has said that it is solution is not brooding upon what has happened. Solution is not what has gone past. Solution is to look forward and take action. And that is what the general took a action. He found that yes, and he wanted to prove himself, nobody else. He wanted to prove himself so that he can get over that swamp, the low time of his life, because the expectation which we had, we didn't materialize. Thereafter, he went into the low time of life. Then he found the way out himself, that if I take action toward this Ironman triathlon, he will come out of that and he will prove to himself that he still has in himself. And that is the learning here, that whenever you are low, never think of brooding upon, rather take action further. So, sir, if I'm not wrong, I believe that first you took some event called sprint triathlon, then half Ironman, and then you gone for the full. What is
No,
that,
no. So whilst I did all this,
sir?
it was not related to what I'm talking about.
Okay, okay,
These are small triathlons which I had done earlier.
okay,
And
okay,
even when I was the GOC in 22 Dev,
okay,
I conducted a triathlon of sprint category in my division for people,
okay,
for the
okay,
officers.
okay,
So that was not related.
okay, okay,
But when I wanted to get out of it, I wanted to do the full Ironman. It was not a
okay,
progression from sprint to Olympic to
okay,
half to full.
okay,
No,
okay, okay, okay,
those I had already done as part of just normal adventure stuff and
okay,
thing.
okay,
But
okay,
doing the full Ironman was very intimidating
okay.
because of the thing. So I wanted to do the full.
So I believe, sir, then when you really took up this challenge of doing the full Iron triathlon, then your practice was a very hectic one, and you have to find time during the office time itself. And as we always say in the army, sir, that more you bleed in the peace, the less you bleed in the war, or more you train in the peace, the less you bleed in the war. So that is what you did while practicing for that. So would you like to tell something about to our viewers your training?
Yeah, so it's more you sweat in peace,
Yeah, more is
less
sweat
you
in peace.
bleed in war.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but I was not training in office time.
Yeah,
I was
you can't.
training
You can't. You
after
can.
office hours
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's no way I could train in office time.
Absolutely.
I
And
was
I stand corrected, not office time, being in the uniform, being
yeah.
in the uniform.
So I was DG resettlement in Delhi, and that is a 5-day week, but the whole day is taken away in office because you go there at about 9 in the morning and you come back home only by 6 in the evening. So about 10 hours of your day goes away there. So that was my biggest challenge as to how do I find time to train. And
Natural.
the training is very time consuming because you are building up something that you've never done before. I had never swum 3.8 kilometers and
Right.
I had never run 42 kilometers in my life. The
Natural.
maximum I had run was a half marathon of 21 kilometers.
Sir, sir,
And
sir,
swimming, like everybody goes to the swimming pool, you do, 5, 10 lengths and come back. That's what I also used to do.
sir, sir,
Cycling, of course, like you're aware, I had done, but
sir.
not in this format.
So much.
So it was very challenging to start training, and the time required to do, say, 3.8 kilometers of swimming is about 1 to 2 hours. To run 42 kilometers, you need 4 to 5 hours. And to cycle 180 kilometers, you need between 6 to 7 hours. So you had to find that time from somewhere. And that time could only come from whatever time was mine.
So,
And that's how I went about it. But that was the most challenging part.
but I believe, sir, that for cycling, you used to get up 1 o'clock in the night and then come next day, maybe around, say, by 8 or 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
And
there's a reason for that.
so,
So the weekdays, Monday to Friday, I could run and swim. So get back from work, change, and from about 7 at night to 10 o'clock at night, I could run thrice a week and I could swim twice a week, same timing, because you are at office the whole day. But cycling I couldn't do on weekdays. So now on weekends I used to do cycling. My choices were either I start on a Sunday morning or I do it on Saturday, Sunday night
yes, sir.
because you need time to recoup also after that.
Absolutely.
When you
Absolutely.
cycle 180 kilometers, it takes a
Yes.
long time to get back your energy and your senses.
Correct.
So
Correct.
why I chose the night was because Delhi weather we are aware.
I know, sir.
And my event was on
Pollution.
1st of July, and the months preceding that were all summer, March, April, May, June. So at night, no sun, less traffic because you're cycling on the road. Pollution also slightly less.
Pollution less, yeah.
So therefore, I used to choose the night.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
cycle.
And
So,
what used to be routes are normally in Delhi?
so I used to cycle on the expressway between Noida and Greater Noida.
Okay.
So in Noida, there is a place called Mahamaya flyover.
Yes, it is.
And Greater Noida, there is Pari Chowk.
Yes, I know.
So one round of Mahamaya, Pari Chowk and back is 48 kilometers.
Okay, okay.
I used to do those rounds. And depending upon how much I wanted to do, 3 rounds or 4 rounds, that's what I used to do. So it would
Where
take
you used to do, sir, swimming part of?
swimming. I used to do in this called Khelgaon, the Shri Fort,
I know, sir. I
which is
know.
about 3 kilometers. Used to be the Asian Games were held out here long back. So they have a pool which is heated, which
Okay.
you can swim even in winter.
Okay.
So I used to swim
And
in
that 50 meter only, or it's a bigger
50,
one?
it's a 50-meter pool.
50 meter only. Okay.
Yeah. And for running, I used to go back to Sena Bhavan because
Okay.
by the time I went back, there was nobody there. Everybody,
No.
except naval officers who used to be in their offices, army and air force officers had all gone. So I used to park my car and run around that area. It was very peaceful.
There were hardly any traffic out there after the offices.
Correct.
It's a good. And I believe, sir, that you have mentioned somewhere that there was a lot of big contribution by ma'am, because night she waking up at 1 o'clock and then coming up, so her routine being disturbed. So would you like to say it? Because always a family support is.
She was the only one suffering. I was on a mission of my own.
Sir.
And my sons were not here, so it didn't affect them.
Yes.
So the only person who had to suffer all this I was doing, coming back from office, then going for a run, then asking for dinner at 11 at night, or waking up on a Saturday night at 1 o'clock and then going there and cycling from 2 o'clock to 9 next day, not going for parties. So she tolerated it all and she supported me in all of that. Not once did she tell me, what the hell are you doing? So even when I told her I'm going to do the Ironman, she never once said that, no, don't do it or you'll get injured or something. My dad was very concerned, but not her. She said, yeah, go ahead and do it. So I had 100% support from her.
That is very important, sir. The family support in achieving something unimaginable is always supported by the family. Then there's nothing like it.
But I also keep saying that if your family doesn't support you, that does not mean that you do not achieve or go for what you want to go for.
Yes.
It is a little more difficult, more challenging, because now you have to look at family front also and there, because they're not getting the support, but you must go ahead with it.
Yes. So basically, sir, ultimately it is getting out of your comfort zone if you want to achieve something, sir, whether support or no support. But the moment you decide to get out of your comfort zone and take challenges and be courageous, probably you can achieve everything, and that is what you said.
True.
So you are absolutely right, sir, that we have to get out of comfort zone if we want to do something legendary. And once you have gone, sir, this first marathon, that was in 2018, that is Austria, sir, if I'm not wrong.
Triathlon, not marathon.
Triathlon, that is in Austria.
Marathon is one part of the triathlon.
I know it's a triathlon, and that is in Austria, sir, which you did in 2018.
Correct.
And I think you were the only Indian Army officer who was in the uniform that time and achieved this feat, and also the only general in the world probably who did this event. So how was the reaction, sir, at home and in the office or in the country as such?
So this was quite hilarious for me, because I did not even inform the army I'm going there.
Okay.
Because it was my personal mission.
You took leave, sir?
Of course, I took leave.
Okay.
It was my personal mission, and I was not under the army headquarters. I was working as DGR, Director General Resettlement, which comes under the Ministry of Ex-Servicemen Welfare.
Okay.
So my boss was a secretary from the IS.
Okay.
So there was no connection with the army, except that when I applied for permission to go abroad, my thing did go to the MI, which is the normal format.
Yes, sir.
And there in small print, I had written that I'm going to do the Ironman. Now the guys
Okay.
in MI didn't even know what Ironman is, so it
Okay.
was awesome. Yeah.
Must be some Jeevan sir who must have read it and just
And I
wrote
got
it.
my permission and all that. Now
Okay.
I went and did the event, and when it happened, somebody who was there. So there were a lot of my friends who had gone along, not lots, but say about five, six of them. So they sent the video of my finishing uh,
Okay.
on WhatsApp to some other friend of theirs in
Okay.
Delhi, who
Okay.
sent it on, how WhatsApp groups function.
I know, sir. I know.
It went there and it started going viral. And then the army headquarters got to know that, there is an army officer called so and so who has done this thing. Then the PR, the ADG,
ADGPI.
ADGPI,
Yeah.
uh, they started contacting me
Okay.
in Austria. So
Oh.
then they said, "What is this?" They asked my wife, "What has happened? What has he done? Give us a write up." So we quickly wrote a write up and sent it on WhatsApp because I was going on a vacation after that. We were off for another 10 days across Europe. So I
Okay.
didn't come back after the event and we went ahead and we sent this write up and then the army tweeted. So
Okay.
when they put out their tweet, it was picked up by newspapers and it was picked up by Rahul Gandhi also. He also tweeted and
Oh,
many
I
other
know.
people tweeted. So when I got back from India, from abroad, back
Uh,
from my leave, I was surprised that there were people to receive me at the airport. So there was a guy from officer from my regiment who had come. I was also the colonel of my regiment that time. So
okay. Okay.
my regiment was there. There was also from the office who was there. There were some other people who were there, and I was surprised. I said, "Why? What the hell are you guys doing here?" No, no, sir, welcome back and all that. So that's when I realized that something is wrong. This is not normal. Like I've just come back
Well,
after my leave, and people are here to receive me at the airport. Anyway, that got over. I went home. And next day when I went to office,
sir.
so the DGR's office is in RK Puram. It's not in Sena Bhavan.
I know, sir. I have served there in Arkipuram, sir.
Yeah. So, and most of the staff in the DGR's office is civilians.
Sir.
There are only about, I would say, 10 combatant officers, Army, Navy, Air Force, and the rest are all civilians. So when I was going there in the morning to join, I found a crowd outside.
Oh.
So I asked my driver, I said, क्या कोई strike वाइक चल रही है? I said, नहीं सर, आपकी वेट कर रहे हैं. I said,
Okay.
मेरी वेट क्यों कर रहे हैं? He said, "Sir, आप वो करके आए हो ना इसलिए." And I was surprised they were there with garlands and stuff like that.
Oh.
I was, very embarrassed because I
Uh,
was not used to this kind of stuff.
correct.
Anyway,
Correct.
all that happened and I went in and then I was told that the secretary is ESW has hosted a tea for you.
Oh.
And I went there, and again, all the civilian staff of the
Natural.
ministry was there, and garlanding, and this, that, and the other. So it was a very funny kind of a thing for me at that time because I was not used to this kind of treatment.
Absolutely, sir.
Oh, you've done something. I did it on my own for myself, and here I'm. Uh, so it took a little while, which was a little while means about 7, 8 months to understand what was going on because that's how it was.
The
So
gravity of achievement, sir.
the reception and the reaction was far beyond
Overwhelming,
something that I had expected.
sir.
I had not even thought in those lines.
But sir, that achievement were like that. Probably for you it was a very personal, but for a nation you were a pride, sir, because it was exceptional and you deserved all that, sir. And there was nothing new what country should have done for you, sir. And that's really a wonderful thing, sir. But here I have one thing, sir, in mind to ask you. When you yourself have said that there are three things which are done in sequence, starting from your swimming, then cycling, and that thing, and put about, I think I was just adding up, it comes out 226 kilometers around.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that, sir, fear of not finishing or fear of failure, what you call it? Do you ever have that element of doubt?
So this time I didn't leave it to any kind of chance.
Okay.
I trained and I rehearsed the event,
So,
visualized it in my mind thousands of times.
yeah.
It was so much of visualization I had done with
So,
research. I did a lot of research. I had no coach,
yeah.
no nutritionist, no trainer. I didn't join any gym. I trained on my own and I researched about how to train and what to eat, how to hydrate, how to go about all the technicalities. So I was very, very clear on that. So when I rehearsed it in my mind and visualized it, it was like when I was actually doing the event, it was like one more rehearsal.
Oh,
And not once did that thought come into my mind that I won't do it.
yeah,
Although I told my wife on that morning, I said, I will die doing this event, but I will not quit.
yeah, yeah.
So luckily that situation didn't arise and it happened.
Fantastic, sir. Matlab, these are the words of encouragement to the whosoever is listening. That guys, that is called the commitment. Come what way, I will do it. That is called the word commitment. And he rightly said that visualization technique is the most important technique. You must understand that whatever you want to achieve, if you visualize that to the all nuances of that event, you can achieve it. So first you win the thing in your mind, then you win on the ground. And that is what General Sir did in his life, that he implemented everything in his mind, and then on ground he did the exactly same what he thought of. Sir, hats off to you, sir. That is no denying the fact that, and that is what the real learning from your discussion, sir. Then, sir, you again next year in 2019, you went for that Germany Ironman Triathlon. And what was it, sir? How was the experience thereafter? Because you have broken your own record by 41 minutes. Means even saving 1 minute additional is not an easy joke while you are running, especially in the last, which is 42.2 kilometer. Even making up 1 minute, I have seen, because I have been equally, sir, in academy cross country, and though I was technical, but I used to come in the first enclosure with the NDAs and all. But I know how difficult it is to make up even 100 meter with the guy who is going ahead of you. And there you made up, sir, by 41 minutes from your last record. How did you do, sir?
So firstly, I must tell you that when I did the first Ironman, I swore I'll never do another Ironman again because it was so grueling and
I
so
know.
tiring, and it kept me in a very very busy schedule for 1.5 years. So I said I'll never do this again.
Oh my God.
But 3 months into having finished the first one, I started finding that I don't have a focus in my life.
Oh,
I needed something to chase,
yes.
and that was not there. So I went and registered for the second one.
Okay.
Now, of course, having had the experience of the first one, I was wiser. I could
Yes.
train smarter. I
Yes.
knew where to emphasize, where I needed to put in my effort, how to go about the mechanics. So that's how I managed to save those 40 minutes by better and smarter training.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And here the very important point of the life lesson which you have brought out, sir, that you found out that I am not having a focus, because your mind was saying, यार बहुत हो गया, अब नहीं करना है. But then again, you realize that your purpose of life, and when you found the purpose of life, that yes, you have to do it again. And now not only the second one, sir, you have registered for the third one also, which is going to happen this year, and this year in October 2nd. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what is called that when you find your vision and mission and the purpose of your life, then you don't look back. And right now, his purpose is only to prove for himself and inspire the world over. Inspire that at this age, he can do, and you can do, anybody can do. That is what is main purpose of life, and which he has been following it. So, sir, now you have registered for the third one. How the preparation is going on, sir?
So before this, I also want to mention that, whilst I had a very satisfying career in the army,
I know, sir.
and you have already brought that out, there was always a little bit of a hollowness within,
Yes, sir.
that something is missing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
I couldn't identify what that is.
Yes.
All my life, I couldn't identify what it was. But after I did the first Ironman, I found that
Yes.
disappeared.
Yes. This is what is there.
So I also did a talk. I did a TED talk on this called The
Sir,
Puzzle of Identity.
I listened that, sir.
So, you come to suddenly realize what is giving you that satisfaction,
Yes,
which
yes,
may have been missing. Not that I didn't enjoy the army. I loved
yes,
the army and I
yes,
still
yes,
love it.
yes, yes,
And if I had a choice, I would go back there. But
yes,
that hollowness somehow remained.
yes, yes, yes.
Now, talking about focus, which made me go for the second one, that's exactly why I'm going for the third one. I couldn't do anything in 2020 and 2021 because of the pandemic.
Yes,
These events didn't happen. So
yes,
now that it opened, I went and registered. It's now given me a purpose. Certainly, I
yes,
find that I have, some direction to go for every day. And my training uh, takes up a good amount of my time now. Like morning, I went and did a 12-kilometer run today. In the evening, I come and do, core strengthening and body strengthening. Tomorrow, I'll do some cycling and
okay.
stuff like that. So I have a mission now.
Yes,
It's
yes,
not
yes.
that I'm just drifting like
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
ship with no destination. You're just bobbing around in the water. So that's the reason I went for it.
Absolutely,
Training
sir.
is
And
right now,
yeah,
the
yes,
training is in good shape. I
sir,
still have 5 months, five
sir,
and a half months to go. I
sir,
intend to peak only in September.
sir, sir,
And my mission this time, I hope I
sir,
can reduce another 40 minutes from my time.
sir, sir,
So
sir.
I want to
Okay.
come into the 12-hour bracket. I was at 13:40. If I can
Oh,
get 12 hours, 59 minutes, I'll be very, very happy. I'll be satisfied. I'll,
yes.
I'll be happy even if I don't, but I'll be satisfied if I can.
Sir, I just tell you the people's reaction. In fact, yesterday I was just walking and the flyer which I have put on my social media, some of the people walked over to me and said, look, how is it possible a person in the age group of 62 can even think of, not to do, can even think of doing this? And that's what is. So you are talking about, sir, 12 hour 59 minute. Here the people are just wondering, sir, how you can do even in 17 hours with at such a age. But you have proved, sir, otherwise, that everything is possible provided you are committed, you are courageous, you are consistent. And that is what you have done and you have been doing it, sir.
And also, apart from being, courageous and consistent and all that, you have to be cautious.
Yes, yes, of
Because
course.
you must avoid injuries,
Yes, yes, yes,
and therefore you must be smart and
yes.
read up on what is going to happen and know how to go about it. So,
Absolutely. So, sir, that when you talk about that, it's always a calculated risk. So, one have to take a risk with the calculation, and
so
individual is the best judge as far as these things are concerned. Uh, so that is your next mission, sir. In this also, sir, I would like to know that what is your after this Iron Triathlon? I have read somewhere that you wanted to do, or rather, you wanted to travel the globe on cycle. That is your ultimate dream come true, I must say. So, what is that, sir?
I keep watching a lot of these YouTubes where people are going around cycling or going around on a motorcycle around the world.
Sir,
And when I cycled from Leh to Chandigarh, on
sir,
the way I met a Spanish couple.
sir.
So just got talking to them, and I was boasting that I'm coming from Leh. I thought I was a big tiger doing, Leh to Chandigarh. And they told me that they had been cycling for 8,000 kilometers.
Sir.
So my eyes popped out. They had been cycling for the last, I think, 6 months or 7 months.
I know.
And that's what they were doing.
Sir.
That's when I realized that there is much more to it than what we think. Because,
Yes,
we are limited exposure,
absolutely.
especially in the army, you are not exposed to what's happening in these domains
Correct.
outside. You are
Yes.
very well versed with what the army is got to do with. But,
Sir.
these other extracurricular kind of things, there's a little bit of
Yeah.
restriction. At least I was.
Sir.
And that's when I realized that there's so much more. And I came and started looking at these YouTubes and stuff like that. And my dream now is
Sir.
to be able to cycle over 5 continents. Uh, and so the distance would be about 22,000 kilometers.
Okay.
Uh, I've done a rough calculation in terms of time and distance, so about 10 months to 1 year. is the
Okay.
time required.
Okay. Okay.
And unfortunately, nobody else wants to join me because nobody can spare that much of time or wants to commit that much of time and go and do something, so berserk. Apart from which, of
Okay.
course, there's a lot of
Okay.
financial commitment to be done because, you need money to travel and you need money for visas and transportation and stuff like that. So this is my dream. It has been put on hold due to the situation, the pandemic, which is around because you can't get visas so easily. But I hope, uh, and I keep dreaming still, that it'll happen the moment it eases off a bit, and I'm determined to make it happen.
I am sure, sir, 100% sure that I have a full faith in your commitment, sir, that one day you will do it because everything starts from the dream. And once you have dreamed it and you have visualized it and you have thereafter planned it properly, you will be able to do it. And I am sure that 2, 3 stages you have already done. It's only execution part which is left with you. And sooner or later, I'm sure that you should be. And our best wishes, my viewers' best wishes are always with you, sir. That
Thank
God
you.
keeps you always fit and fighting. With this, sir, another thing which I would like that I know that ma'am is also equally a fitness enthusiastic. She is also a marathoner, a half marathon. She has already done some similar marathon or something. Then your both son is also, I believe, quite a fitness freak, and they also one day wanted to do this. Would you like to share something about that?
So, the family has somehow, uh, not by any kind of choice, but it just happened. We all got into very, very inspired by fitness.
Sir.
And so my wife has done all the half marathons around Delhi, Airtel, IDBI, Mumbai Marathon, Shimla, Tough Man. She did the Chadar Trek.
Oh,
And she's done the cycling from Manali to Leh. Last September during the pandemic, went and did that. Uh, so she was also looking at doing the half Ironman. Unfortunately, just before the Goa half Ironman in 2019 October, she came down with dengue. And probably seeing her and seeing me, both my kids are also into fitness. They're both very fit. I was not as fit as they are when I was at their stage.
God
So
bless.
I think it's just happened. And we are quite happy being into fitness.
Good, sir. And we wish that one day you all three, including your son and you both, we could see one day that you all three have made it and you are flashed all over the world in the news. And we wish that for that the day will definitely come.
That'll be a
And,
dream. Yeah.
sir. And this inspiration to your son is because of your steely resolve, sir, or it is by their own choice?
Now, this is a question, they have to answer.
Yeah.
Because if I say it was me who inspired them, then I don't know if that is true because I never asked them whether did you get inspired by me or something. No, I never asked them. So I don't think I can answer that question.
Sir. Perfect, sir. Perfect. Would you like to tell something to the youth, sir, especially our mid-career professional who, from a small things, they get bogged down and finally they find themselves in a thick swamp and not able to negotiate those difficult moments. And with your kind of experience, you have gone through all kind of ups and downs and finally living your dream life, or rather fulfillment of the life. Would you like to say a few words to our this youths?
Yeah, so a couple of advice which I feel I can give because I have seen a lot of it
So,
is that mental endurance is something that you need to develop
yes,
because it is the answer to all your problems.
yes,
Whether it is dealing with a difficult boss at your work,
yes,
whether it is dealing with a teenage child at home,
yes,
or a bad relationship, anywhere and
yes,
everywhere you require mental endurance.
yes, yes,
And mental endurance is something that you can work on, like you can work on physical endurance, you can work on mental endurance.
yes,
So
yes,
you need to work on your mental endurance because, like I said, that is the answer to everything difficult in your life.
yes,
So,
yes,
having said that, if you can develop your mental endurance by training it, and you can look up there's a lot of material available how to train yourself mentally.
Yeah.
So train yourself mentally, and then don't restrict your mind
Yes.
in stopping you from doing things which you may otherwise feel that you're not capable of doing.
Uncomfortable.
The body has unlimited potential. It's
Yes.
only our mind which is holding us back.
Yes.
Till I did the Ironman event, I couldn't even imagine that anybody like me could do the Ironman.
Yes.
But once I did it, I said, I can do it again, and I
Yes.
can do it again.
Yes.
So your mind is the one which is restricting you, and your body will follow.
Yes.
So don't limit yourself, be consistent, dream,
Yes.
and follow your dream. I'm sure you will lead a happier and more satisfied life.
So very true, sir. So very true. And ladies, gentlemen, and viewers, the General has brought out three very, very important points. One is that he said is the mental toughness, mental endurance, what he said. So develop your mental toughness. And what he said is, if you are mentally tough, you can negotiate any problem of the life, whether at work or at relationship or at home. That is what he said. Second thing he said, we are limitless. It is only we put the limit because of our limiting beliefs that, yes, this is not for me. I can't do this. That is the limiting belief. Otherwise, every human being has got a unlimited potential. It is only you have to explore it. So be limitless and take action. Dream and take action. Just by dreaming that will not work. You have to take action. So with this, such a profound lesson, sir, and really privileged to have you. And my viewers must have really learned many, many lessons from your talk today, sir. And I must thank you so much, sir, and for your such a wonderful talk and such a wonderful lessons of the life, real life, I must say. And on behalf of my viewers and myself, I must thank you, sir. And we are really privileged to have you today on our show.
Thank you, Raghav. It's been very, very interesting, and I enjoyed myself. I look forward to more interaction with you, and good luck to you and all your viewers for everything that you endeavor to achieve.